morning, Gladers. I hope you got a good night's sleep because we got a lot of news for you. Now to Nick and George with sports.
Big news for the runners today. We've been told that two of the runners, the keeper Minho and the greenie Thomas, have become the first people to ever last the night in the maze.
Yeah, and that's not all. Apparently they have found a possible exit out of the glade. They call it the Griever Hole.
They found it while they were being chased by grievers. The grievers went off of the cliff and disappeared. To investigate, they threw rocks and found where they went.
This is a great discovery for everyone in the glade.
It really is. This just in. Breaking news on the flare. Here's Abe with more information.
Hands and keep clean because there's a new disease going around, the flare. Today we are interviewing a real flare victim, Anne. Anne, how does this disease affect you?
It gives me disgusting blemishes and gashes all over my body. They are not fun. They hurt so bad, I think about killing myself all the time.
Do you know how you got sick?
Apparently, it was a solar flare. There's always been solar flares, but not one this big. Nobody saw it coming, but then it was too late.
Apparently, it raised temperatures to a record high, killing many on impact and injuring many more. It also brought a new disease called the flare. This added to its death toll by a lot.
Wow.
Back to you, George, for the weather in the glade.
Good morning, Gladers. My name is George. We have reason to suspect that tomorrow our weather is going to be quite strange. It's going to change from its normal sunshine to a dull shade of gray. We suspect this because the arrival of our new greenie Teresa. Since there will be no day or night, the officials will be evacuating everyone into their homestead. Now to you, Marie.
Here are two of the survivors from the maze that I've had a chance to interview with. Their names are Thomas and Teresa, and they're going to be telling me about their time in the glade. So, here's my first question. What do you remember about where you were before you arrived in the glade? How was living in the homestead? Thomas?
Well, when I arrived in the glade, I didn't really remember much from where I came from, what my family was like. The only thing I remembered was my name. As for living in the homestead, it was okay once you got used to it.
My experience wasn't that great. I came in a coma. I really had no idea where I was or why. And when I was in the homestead, things weren't that great. As soon as I woke up, they put me in prison.
Wow, very interesting. Moving on. How did things run in the maze? Did you have rules? Explain.
Well, things were definitely a lot better run than I thought they would be, considering it was run by a bunch of 16-year-olds. And because everybody knew what to do and everybody had jobs.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone did have jobs. You had the med jacks, the deadheads, the runners.
Staying on that topic, Teresa. Thomas, explain to me what it is like to be a runner.
It's pretty hard work. You need to have good instincts and you have to be in good shape. You need the brains and the legs.
Now, for my last question, what are your thoughts on Wicked and their motives to kids like you?
Wicked. Well, they killed one of my really good friends, so by that, I say they're bad.
Teresa?
I have no comment.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Well, back to the studio now for a obituary in honor of Thomas's friend, Chuck.
Today, Chuck, age 12, died for his friend Thomas. His death took place outside of the Griever Hole, inside of the Creator's room. Another boy, Gallo, was trying to murder Thomas, and Chuck jumped in front of him, saving Thomas's life.
What a faithful friend. Thomas must feel so sad for the loss of his friend's life.
He is. After Chuck died, Thomas was seen crying over his body, screaming, I promised him, I promised him. Isn't that so touching?
Yes. Now let's have a moment of silence to respect Chuck's honorable death.
His funeral will be held on April 1st and is going to be private with only his close friends attending his memorial. Afterwards, Chuck will be buried outside in the woods.
Thank you for taking the time today to honor Chuck's death.
We will be talking about Wicked and its motives on children.
They have good intentions, but their motives and the ways to do it aren't that good. Killing children like animals and experimenting on them for their benefit, that's just not how you carry things out.
I agree. They could really do a better job of testing things. Instead of using children and treating them like animals and killing them, why don't they use actual animals?
I definitely agree. They could definitely do a better job. Well, thank you so much for watching. See you next time on Good Morning Gladers.